into. Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Time check right now is 7:41 a.m. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And, you know, in the excitement and all of it, I think the Olympics is coming to an end on Sunday. So we're still hoping. We're seriously hoping that one way or the other, you know, we would at least get just one, medal to wrap things up at the Olympics. That's for Nigeria. We had the largest contingency, from Africa at the Olympics 2024. So let it speak for something, please. All right, as we move on to discuss the stories trending on the front pages of our papers today, of course, that is what we do on Trends in the Papers. Then we'll do that up until about 8:30. We take a break by 8:30. We'll go on the commercial break, that is, and we're back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, and that's the part where you get to be part of the conversation. You engage us, share your thoughts as regards, the focal points that we'll be selecting from the major stories on the papers this morning. We have Vanguard, the Punjab, the Guardian newspaper, in no particular order. My name is Omobola Sandra. I wouldn't be doing this alone. Fuad Sahid will also join via the phone line to give analysis to the stories that we'll be treating this morning. But before then, yes, it's Trends in the Papers. We'll be looking through the major stories for today. But of course, this is a rather interesting story that came out yesterday, or that was published yesterday. And it's just only important for us to quickly bring you up to speed as regards this, because it is quite an interesting one. And this is, you can get it in the Punch newspaper. Yes, inside of the Punch newspaper. Here we have NNPCL demands 4.7 trillion naira petrol imports refund. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has demanded a refund of 4.71 trillion naira from the federal government to settle outstanding debts used to import premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, into the country. The claim was listed as exchange rate differential on PMS and other joint ventures taxes on petrol products imported by the company between between August 2023 to June 2024. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, at the June meeting of the Federation Account Allocation Committee. Well, this is quite an interesting one. Exchange rate differential refers to the income that's accrued to banks or government agencies from the difference in value between two currencies at different times through the foreign exchange sale and purchase prices. That's what exchange rate differentials mean. So, for example, if you exchange $1 for 0.9 euros today, and tomorrow you get $1 for 0.8 euros, the exchange rate differential is the change between these two rates. That's 0.1. That's the exchange rate differential. So this development also means that the government will support fuel imports by covering the difference between the projected rate and the actual expenses incurred by the NNPC for importing petroleum products into the country. This difference in cost, which ordinarily should be reflected in the retail price of the product borne by final consumers, contradicts the government's claims that subsidies have been eliminated. Which begs the question as regards, this announcement, the very infamous, announcement that the president made May 29, 2023 last year, that subsidy is gone, and, the repercussions thereafter, or the ripple effects from that announcement, what exactly are we to believe? What exactly are we supposed to work with? Because now the NNPCL is asking the federal government to this is even this is just one of the many payments that has to do with this subsidy conversation, because this is just foreign differential. There are also some other payments that are usually done as regards subsidy payment. So with this request from the president, what says you? What are your thoughts? It's something that we're going to be looking through majorly this morning, because it just highlights quite a lot of what is going on in the oil industry or in the oil sector. Apologies, I mentioned earlier that it was a story from yesterday. No, it's a story from this morning. It's a story that is from this morning. It's also, you can get it in the papers. It's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. It's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. NNPCL demands 4.7 trillion naira petrol imports refund. I read earlier on why this is coming in, or what this means, and what this is going to mean if we're going to be making this payment. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy added that NNPCL has also sought an extension of the period to cover the differential rate, but was advised to write to the National Economic Council requesting approval. So the chairman, PMSC Postmortem Subcommittee, reported that NNPCL Limited informed the subcommittee that it had an outstanding claim of over 2.6 trillion against the Federation as a result of the use of weighted average rate as of May 2024. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. You're listening to Trends in the Papers. Please stay tuned.
Knowledge is power. Information is key. And that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. Join Omobola Sandra and Sage Babalola on the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
On the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Hello Lagos, I am SP Benjamin Hundeyi, Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command. You are listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. If you see something, say something.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on even the other stations are tuned in too.
Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. Good morning. That is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. Join Omobola Sandra and Sage Babalola on the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
On the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. The other stations are tuned in too.
Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Open defecation in Nigeria perpetuates a cycle of poor health, environmental degradation, and undermines human dignity. With approximately 47 million people practicing open defecation nationwide, Nigeria ranks among the top countries globally with the highest number of individuals who lack access to proper sanitation facilities. The stats look grim. The overriding effect in itself can be terrible to our general well-being. In that light, we from Mainland 98.3 FM call on the government to increase its efforts in providing public toilets to end this scourge. And we also encourage the citizenry to imbibe proper hygiene and not defecate in public.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all things that you said we were to gain?
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. The other stations are tuned in too.
Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
All right, we apologize for that long break there. Just had to sort some things out on the back end here to ensure that, we have a smooth broadcast experience this morning. This is Milan 98.3 FM. You're welcome. It's Trends in the Papers. We'll be looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers this morning. And I kick things off with this story on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And that is as regards the fact that the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edun, has revealed that the NNPCL is demanding a 4.7 trillion naira petrol imports refund, which is a differential of the exchange rate when you import petrol. And I try to explain what the differential means. And with this particular request coming in now, it begs the question around the removal of fuel subsidy. Is it there? Is it not there? There seems to be some sort of magic happening around there. It's supposed to be gone, but apparently here we are. We're expending 4.7 trillion naira, or we will have to expend 4.7 trillion naira if this is granted. Forensic audit of 2.6 trillion naira NNPCL subsidy claims still ongoing, and that is coming from the FAC panel. That's the Federating Account Allocation Committee. I have Fuad Sahid via the phone line. Good morning, Fuad.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you very much. You're welcome. Thank God it's Friday. Let's just get into it. We have spent so much time in trying to sort some things out here. This NNPCL demand and this revelation from Minister Wale Edun, and the very much anticipated conversation, or should I say this open secret, should I put it that way? Yes, an open secret around claims that subsidy may actually still be in progress, or the payment of subsidy.
I think Minister Wale Edun has actually been doing a whole lot in recent times to get us to understand what exactly is happening. The fact is that something is happening, whatever name you call it. I think we have a new phrase now.
Intervention.
We've but no, there's the forex thing. There's something you just read out.
Differential.
I'm going to start with the report.
Exchange rate differentials.
There's a name they've called it. There's not just exchange differential. There's the particular phrase they've used for it now in that report. If you take the report again, you'll see. I'm trying to. There's something in the report. There's the exact word used in that report.
Okay.
Again, what we are seeing here, because again, we'll try and see out whether we can take the entire report, because for each of the paragraphs you read in that report, there's a revelation. And it opens up to the conversation, the secrecy, the lack of transparency about the current subsidy regime that will currently run. Because basically, what the story tells you, if you start to take it one after the other now, say, yes, Sandra, the paragraph, what it tells you is that, look, after September last year, of course, May last year was announced that subsidy is gone. And what was said was that, look, budgetary provisions were just for the month of June. So it was not captured beyond the month of June, even though the announcement of subsidy removal was done in May last year. But as of September, there was an approval to the NNPCL to start to use the dollar rate, because we were importing, basically. We've been importing. So so they were supposed to use a particular dollar rate, which was around 600 naira to $1 for importation of petroleum products into the country. Unfortunately, while that started, naira depreciated against the naira to the dollar at around 1,200 naira. So there was a differential of around 550 naira. So if you calculate what we've done from around September this year, you understand where the NNPCL is coming from. So what we are saying, Sandra, is that we have been subsidizing in terms of the rate of forex we have been using to import petroleum into the country, petroleum products into the country. So instead of using the official rate, it explains a whole lot, really.
Thank you very much for that. Well, let's see what we can. I'll try to speed by on this particular report. Now, I read earlier on that the NNPCL has demanded a refund of 4.71 trillion naira from the federal government to settle outstanding debts used to import PMS. And this claim was listed as exchange rate differential on PMS and other joint venture taxes on petrol products imported by the company between August 2023 to June 2024. All right, and I'm also trying to explain what exchange rate differential means, which refers to the income that's accrued to banks or government agencies from the difference in value between two currencies at different times through foreign exchange sales and purchase prices. So this development also means that the government for importing petroleum products into the country. This difference in cost, which ordinarily should be reflected in the retail price of products and borne by final consumers, that is you and I, contradicts the government's claims that subsidies have been eliminated. This revelation also comes amid challenges faced by the petroleum company to ensure the adequate supply of PMS to marketers for distribution nationwide. So speaking at the meeting, the minister explained to state commissioners of finance that NNPCL received presidential approval to carry out this duty using weighted average rates.
Weighted average rate, that was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's free. Weighted average rate. What does it mean, Sandra? That's great.
From October 2023 to March 2024, Edwin added that the company has also sought an extension of the period to cover the differential rate, but was advised to write to, the NEC, that's National Economic Council. Furthermore, it was disclosed that the subcommittee was able to establish that there was presidential approval to use weighted average rates from October 2023 to March 2024. So it was gathered that the government, through the National Economic Council, granted NNPC permission to import fuel at an exchange rate of 600. The devaluation of the naira surged the price to 1,200 from 650. meaning that there is a don't forget very quickly the very infamous, statement, or the very infamous announcement from the president May 29 last year, 2023, publicly declaring that subsidy is gone, signaling the end of barriers that had been restricting the nation's economic growth. However, this claim has been contested by a lot of people in recent times. The IMF, the World Bank, several other authoritative figures have argued that the government had quietly reintroduced fuel subsidy. At some point, there was someone from the presidency, who mentioned that it was an intervention that the government was, doing at that point. But then in June, a proposed economic stabilization plan document stated that the government planned to spend about 5.4 trillion naira on fuel subsidies. Also, oil marketers, they stated that a landing cost of 1,170 naira per litre, the monthly subsidy on the commodity rose to approximately 707 billion. That's landing cost. I've been expended on. Now, weighted average rate. It's all right. The Commissioner of Finance for Akwa Ibom State, Linus Nkan, queried how the 2.6 trillion naira exchange rate differential against the Federation came about, seeking, clarification. What's going on? The Commissioner referred to paragraphs 3.01 and 5.01 of the PMSC report, requesting clarification as to how this 2.6 exchange rate differential against the Federation came about. And so, reacting to that, the General Manager, FAC Office at the NNPCL, Joshua Danjuma, confirmed the amount claimed by the company was to cover landing cost. And he added that the cost has, significantly increased due to changes in exchange rates. he said, and I quote, reacting to the issue of 2.6 trillion naira claim of NNPCL against the Federation, the representative of NNPCL confirmed that the figure had increased significantly as of May 2024 due to the change in the rate at which the company was sourcing for forex to pay for the landing cost of PMS.
Let's just get a clear definition of subsidy.
Well,
if that definition will be different from what they are doing now, that they claim that is done from inauguration of this government.
Well, it's very simple. It's just
that definition now against what we have just read, and then we can answer the question whether subsidy is gone or not.
So, with the revelation of Mr. Minister Wale Edun, this 5.4 trillion naira that the NNPCL is requesting for, mind you, between June 2023 and this year June, 5.4 trillion naira has been expended.
They have get basic. That's why the NNPC say no. That's a basic on their own intervention.
The NNPC has paid.
Coming from the weighted average rate. That look, all of the things they have been deceiving themselves, calling intervention, cost recovery. What cost have they recovered now, Sandra? Now they are claiming that the federal government will have.
Let's look at this, because the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Mohammed Bello, revealed the reason for the rate difference, because he said that, and I'm quoting now, following the removal of subsidy on PMS on 29th May 2023, NNPCL made requisite pricing adjustments using an beyond this.
And so what just to bring the price down? What are you doing? Just simultaneously, without thinking it through, is the reason why we're in this mess. You remove subsidy, floated the naira at the same time, and now you are doing the same thing that subsidy would have done, but unfortunately, unofficially. As of yesterday or the day before, the minister was still telling us that they are not seeing the subsidy regime was when we were properly appropriating it in our budget. It cannot be as bad as a situation where we don't even know what is going on. At that time, at least we knew the figures we were dealing with. Bad as it bad then, Sandra, like they say in the street. But now we don't know anything. It's shrouded in secrecy. Sandra, you can't run a country like this. Forget about the excuses, the semantics, and the things they are telling you. It is too much of lack of transparency and accountability that we're dealing with here, Sandra. So what does it take for the government to admit that, look, subsidy is bad, we took a wrong policy decision, it was a wrong judgment from us, this is the situation of things. And stylishly, the Minister of Finance is quietly bringing us back to the conversation that, look, we've been intervening, we put it against what you have now read, and then ask yourself, is subsidy truly gone? 8 trillion. What is the job of subsidy? To ensure that, look, there's a difference between the original landing cost and the amount you buy it at the pump price. That is subsidy.
By this exchange rates differential that was recorded, NNPCL responded that additional information will be provided to the subcommittee to clarify the issues raised based on request. Rather, for finance, Niger State, Lawal Maikano lamented the inadequacy of revenue generating agencies to meet its revenue target, stressing that only 50% of the budgeted revenue for the current year has been achieved. But then that's as regards that particular one. But that's a wrap on that particular story, which we're just highlighting here as regards the secrecy or the what is secret.
Call it whatever.
Listen. Behind the subsidy payments that we are doing. It's not subsidy. Exchange rate differential. That's what they're calling it. Weighted average rate. That's what
weighted average rate.
Yeah.
That's a new one, and we are talking about inflation of the foreign exchange market. So they are actually prices that. So the NFCC is working with a presidentially approved rate to import petroleum products into at the pump price. The question is, what do you call that if not subsidy?
Right. And I think
where does that leave the statement of the president that subsidy is gone?
And I think it's also very important for us to note the time frame. All right, so because some people may argue that maybe this was something that they met on ground, or it was a debt that they met on ground. This is a DT presidential approval that was gotten for using this weighted average rate from October 2023 to March 2024. October 2023.
And it's still ongoing because there's an extension of it.
Yes. Exactly.
It's still ongoing because there's an extension of it. So we are using weighted average rate now to bring in product. Another one. So it's not. So all of the cost recovery that NMTCL is talking about, what costs are they recovered now? What manner of intervention is this? If not subsidy. The IFMAN people have been telling us that ordinarily the landing cost is supposed to be around 1,150 naira per litre. And so what we are saying is that, look, let us declare it officially that subsidy is back. Let's know what we are dealing with. Something they did before, the Minister of Finance is still talking about the fact that they are not even sure about our daily consumption of PMS. Sandra, well, I think Nigerians listening to us can go read the story, get the details there, and then take their own decisions and understand what we've been talking about really. But I think that this is not the way to run the country really. It is never the way. There's no way to justify these kinds of things in trying to build a nation.
Well, amidst calls for whether or not the leadership of the NNPCL should still remain, there has been some, there's been like a division among the House as regards whether or not, especially NNF, Melekiari, the GCEO of NNPC. But we'll see how things will pan out. This is it's quite a big revelation. If we are suffering hardship of subsidy is gone, and one way or the other we're paying the subsidy, so it just begs the question: what exactly then are we? Where's the hardship? Why are we suffering from? Where's the hardship coming from? Where's the pain coming from? Why are we still in pain if the subsidy is not gone as announced last year?
The pain is coming from weighted average.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay.
The story is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. That's just above the masthead of the Punch. Moving on now, still on the front page of the Punch, the major headline, of course, is hunger protest. Victims' families recount ordeals as they demand bailout. And we have here Gombe, Kano, Katsina. Gombe, Kano traders, Katsina churches count losses as Borno family relieve pains, and that's still on the hunger protest conversation. So as the #End Bad Governance nationwide protest fizzles out, many Nigerians, especially in the north, will live with the wounds, scars and financial losses for a long time to come. At least 17 persons were reportedly killed in Abuja, Kano, Niger, Borno, Kaduna and Jigawa, with several others injured on the opening day of the protest against the nation's worst cost of living crisis in a generation. You know, every time we have this conversation, I just go back again to the fact that it's ringing because we are in pain, and apparently there's no need for the pain. But it's okay.
Very
I can barely hear you, Fuad. You may need to come closer, probably to your phone or mouthpiece.
Is it better now?
Oh yes, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
All right. So, what I'm saying is that again, these are avoidable situations, very avoidable, really. If we have commitment, better commitment to nation building, transparency, if we have leadership that is selfless, you know, a leader, and it's not about a particular level. It's across board, really, Sandra. So that people don't think we're just talking about the presidency. Across the different levels of government we're talking about here. You know, all of this is avoidable, really. The wastages we have, the lack of transparency, the widespread corruption is the reason why we have all of this conversation. But for the violent protests in the north, yes, if the government of the governors of those states can support one way or the other, I think they should support those businesses that have been affected. And then also help families who have lost loved ones in the spirit of reconciliation and nation building. But I think that at the end of the day, it is important for us to really sit down and tell ourselves the truth. Forget all of this hypocrisy, these different perceptions to issues because, of course, maybe of their political affiliation or because they love a particular politician and think you hate that person. I just laugh. The funny thing is that the things some of these people accuse us of don't know that we're actually friends with a lot of the people you think you are friends with, even better friends with them, closer to them than you can even imagine. But we have to do what we have to do because it's our job to also bring out the right conversation for nation building. Look at the story you've just read now, this precarious situation, this terrible situation as a country. Look at what Aramco is doing for their people. Sandra. Why one is you don't get ⴏ Look at what Aramco is doing for their people. In 6 months,
56
something $billion.
$56.3 billion in the first half of 2024, and dividends from it is to reach about profit from it is to reach about $124.2 billion.
Sandra. This is a oil company, oil company,
and that's Aramco.
That's our own. That's the Arabian version of NNPC. Look at the magic they are doing. Whereas our own is still of lamentation, excuses for failure. They keep coming up with excuses for refinery. Do you know that even the Port refinery, Sandra? Now the small one, no, we dey try revival. The 60,000 barrels per day one, which is the small one, the old one. The bigger one, which is maybe on a daily basis, we want to full capacity, do about 10 million liters of fuel for committees upon committees to give excuses. Nothing happens to them. They brought bad fuel into the country, damaging people's vehicles and generators, no consequences. And they come up every day to tell us these things, and we keep tolerating them, Sandra. It is how to build a nation.
Page of the Punch newspaper. More details of the hunger protest conversation on page 2. It's alright. That's on page 19 of.
40,000 words.
Nah,
we know one thing that is 40,000 naira from government, right?
It's rice. And register for the 50 kg bag of rice at a subsidized rate of 40,000 naira.
Okay.
So,
why do you like subsidy now? Why you want subsidy?
I know this government does not like it. It has a new meaning to me now. Going forward,
intervention.
It has a new meaning to me.
Weighted average cost.
It's alright. The withdrawal of the circular.
Just define it as weighted
average cost
for people to buy rice at 40,000 naira of weighted average cost. That's the word now for us.
The federal government has withdrawn the circular directing civil servants to register for the purchase of 50 kg bag of rice at a subsidized rate of 40,000 naira.
At weighted average cost of 40,000 naira.
What?
Come and warn me, seriously.
Come and warn
myself.
I will send Regina Daniel to come and warn you. It's okay.
That's the story of Regina Daniel. Let's move on.
It's okay. I just had to shift that in one way or the other. Well, The Director of Human Resources at the Ministry, that's Federal Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, of late we communicated in due course. Please bring
on this 40,000 naira.
On this 40,000 naira. Please bring the contents of this internal circular to the attention of staff in your respective departments and units for their information and proper guidance. Hey, so are you still going to sell it or not? Please let's know, because I am invested.
The circular will soon come out.
Look at this. People were supposed to register on a website, fill a Google form before you can buy rice, subsidized rice. It's rice. So on this rice, you go online and you can register.
So on the website. If they now add yam, meat, palm oil to it, what would you now do? You have to take your international passport there.
It's true. For what? They will use ID card. That's true.
If they now have to add meat to it, pepper, rice, ororo, you don't say just rice, so you have to go to Google. If you don't know how to use the internet, you're in trouble. Then you go to Starbucks Cafe.
This is one of the several initiatives by the Tinubu administration.
When will others like us have the opportunity? When will our own circular come out? we are not all civil servants. I'm in the circular for civil servants. When will our own circular come out?
The story is on page 19. Secretariat invasion. That's on page 7. So just very quickly, the report came in as regards what happened at NNPC national headquarters. Yes, the national headquarters of NLC in Abuja by security agents. Reports coming that armed men who are allegedly from the DSS invaded the NLC office and took away several documents from there. Happened at about 8:30 p.m. in the evening or at night. And NLC's head of media and public relations, Benson Ukpa, said the attackers ransacked the bookshop on the second floor, confiscating hundreds of books and other publications. The DSS spokesman, Peter Afunaya, has denied the allegation. He said, and I quote, "Yes, please kindly note that the service as DSS did not carry out any operation at the NLC office in Abuja." Opposition parties have come in. The APC has urged for restraint, saying it was too early to rush to a conclusion. But then PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary characterized the action as an attempt to suppress the labor union. More details of that on page 7 of the Punch. Okay. I would have to
reminder of the military era. It brings back the bad memories of the era where you have masked men, bomb people's offices in the places, what it is to the press. Now we are talking about organized labor being harassed by security operatives, even though the DSS high, but the allegation is that look, these men came in dressed like DSS officials.
Yes.
And in just purple manner in the democracy standard. Very sad. Very, very sad.
Well, several people have actually reacted to this one. Aside from the PDP, the Labour Party presidential candidate, chief spokesman for the Labour Party presidential candidate, Yunusa Tanko, also condemned the action. Saying that the action of security agencies is totally condemnable. No one needs to come into the NLC office in a commando style. Also condemning the invasion. National Publicity Secretary of New Nigeria People's Party, Ladipo Johnson. One begins to wonder whether they are going back to the military days. One begins to wonder about the propensity to tolerate constructive criticism or protest, which is an aspect of the dark days of military dictatorship. In a statement he personally signed on Thursday, he said, and I quote, "For genuine Democrats, it's utterly regrettable that official actions in a democratic dispensation could be reminiscent of the atrocities that define the dark days of military dictatorship. It is incontestable that it is illegal for security forces." Civil Liberties Organization described it as an egregious abuse of democratic principles in a statement by its executive director, Ibuchukwu Ezike. However, APC has called for calm, saying it's too early to start trading blame over the alleged invasion. In an exclusive phone call, the National Publicity Director of the party, Bala Ibrahim, said it is something that can be multi-directional and one thing leads to another.
Which direction?
I don't know. unless and until you are able to get information from those who are investigating as to what prompted their action. Their action should not have been prompted at all, but it's fine. The story is on page 7 of the yesterday in Lagos, as there was a gas explosion near Airport Hotel, the mobile filling station near Airport Hotel yesterday. Yes, there was a gas explosion there. The story is on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Finally, off the front page of the Punch newspaper,
I would advise people to go and read that story too. The author of time will not be able to touch on it.
Yes.
It also tells us a whole lot about the sad story of the Nigerian oil sector. Our sweet crude, which was supposed to be what Dangote should be refining, is not available. That's
the president and CEO of Dangote mentioned that the refinery was actually built to use, if you are chasing those barrels, you probably feel it quite keenly. It's very light when you carry it. Nigeria's one is comparatively light, sweet grade here in this country, but unfortunately it's not available for him to work with. That's all we can take from the front page of the Punch newspaper. I have just 2 minutes left, so I'll rush through the Guardian and Vanguard newspaper. This is still Mainland 98.3 FM.
What's your steps?
In case I just jam weighted average rates on the way. All right. Major struggles with abandoned mega projects. I think this cuts across different regions in the country.
All the regions.
It's not just the southeast. But then the focus. Yeah, the focus for the Guardian is the southeast. The rising profile of the southeast as a haven for abandoned projects is fanning the embers of worry among residents and stakeholders in that particular region, who deplore politicians' non-altruistic reasons for project initiation abandoned by successive governments despite being conceived years ago. And more heart-wrenching is the fact that tons of taxpayers' money that should have been used for other life-changing initiatives have either been frittered away or siphoned through these poorly conceptualized or politically motivated projects. And that
some of these things, these are stories that should capture their interest, and begin to invest and chase the Yahoo boys. But I think these are bigger issues for them to deal with across the country.
Yeah, they need to have a legacy project. So a new government comes in and says, forget the old one, forget every other old one, new one, and which was the major concern.
It's not legacy of corruption now.
It is. All right, but the story is on
legacy project. You want to have your own legacy project.
And 5 of the Guardian. We also have here Nigeria's $20 billion budget can't fast track development, is far below global peers, and that's coming from Bagudu. The story is on page 6 of there's Atiku Bagudu, Minister of Budget and Economy. It's all right. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Marketers are hopeful of Port Harcourt refinery's August timeline. That's on page 3. We also have here. That's on page 3. And that's all we can take for a raid of NLC headquarters by security agents. That's on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. We also have here gas development will drive Nigeria's prosperity and reduce cost of living. That's come from ECHO. That's on page 8. It says Dangote refineries product supplies to disrupt Europe oil and gas industry. That's on page 20 of Vanguard newspaper. We'll take a short commercial break now. When we come back, we go on to Mainland Focus, and that's the part where you get to be part of the conversation. It's been quite an interesting time on Trends in the...
You're listening to Mainland